All right, so this is the first episode of BizScale. We have rebranded and renamed ourselves, and we are now BizScale with Tanya. So welcome. A lot of changes. I'm actually glad that I'm back at podcasting, which has been a minute since I did any. It's going to be interesting. I'm actually going to try to be consistent, and I have and I have a lot of content that needs to go out anyway. And there's a lot of things that's going to be happening. So good luck to me trying to be consistent, but I'm definitely going to try. But that's beside the point. We have an interesting conversation today. So this episode is sponsored by Dolphin Agency and with Digital, and you'll see a lot of more of these. It's a business growth series, and we've partnered up to work together. We will be working together and also helping clients to each other with clients' work. But also, we wanted to create a series of content and webinars that will help businesses that we work with. So, if you're in the startup space, it's no surprise that we're talking about this because honestly, we have a real problem in the startup space where funding is harder now, and it's no longer easy to just get some funding. So it's an interesting conversation we're going to be having today. So it's around crafting strategies, growth strategies in the midst of a funding crisis where we have a funding winter, and how businesses can grow. And this is something that it's not only specific to startups but also to SMEs, to digital businesses, online businesses. So a lot of the strategies here can be extrapolated, and you're going to enjoy that. And I'm also going to be sharing, you will hear about an initiative that we are having in that is happening in Nigeria in March. We are hosting a conference, yes, a conference for SMEs, and it's called the Africa SME Assembly. You will hear an ad about it in the next few minutes. So please listen to that, and I hope you definitely are going to come through. On this note, let's jump into the episode.
Crafting a sustainable strategy in the absence of traditional funding.
All right, so as my good friend here, Tosin, just shared, it is crafting a sustainable strategy in the absence of traditional funding. Now, if you are whether you're on the African continent, whether you are in the Northern American ecosystem, APAC, or any other tech ecosystem, it is no surprise to all of us that we are in a funding winter. And VCs, PEs, all of them are not letting money just go, and they're not just investing. And we are going to have to find new ways to grow businesses that does not rely on getting funding. And one of the reasons we created the series, which is a partnership between Dolphin Agency as well as with Digital Marketing, is because we are passionate in helping businesses grow, and this is why we are collaborating and make help in order to create the series of content to help you grow. So a quick one before we get into the subject, before we cover these questions, I'm gonna let Tosin introduce himself, and then for those who are new here, I'm gonna also introduce myself, and we're gonna dive into these questions and riff on some ideas, on some questions that we received, and hopefully it's going to help you. Now, if throughout the course of this episode you are like, gosh, Tanya, Tosin, y'all be dropping gems, but I want to hear a little bit more, I want to understand a little bit more how we can implement this in our business, be advised that there will be a link for you to book an appointment with a sales consultant, with a consultant in the company, and we will be more than happy to offer you a 30-minute business audit complimentary to you, so we can just take a look at what the bottlenecks are in your business and what are holding you from growing. That will help you identify what you need to focus on. So if that is something that you are looking for, so look out for that button, click that, and fill that in, and we'll be more than happy to jump on a call with you. And who knows, you might just get me or Tosin on the phone as well, because we also do love to get on those calls. So, Tosin, fire away. Can you just do a quick introduction before we jump into it?
Oh yeah, thank you very much, Tanya. First up, let me say that for our listeners, if you hearing sound in my background, please forgive me. I have my workman in my apartment trying to fix a thing or two. Yes, my name is Oluwatosin, and I think what excites me the most today is that we will be discussing the whole concept of crafting a sustainable growth strategy in the absence of traditional funding. And just as Tanya I'd already mentioned that we are in the funding winter. But I mean, funding winter or not, business is primarily supposed to be a revenue generating machine, a profit making machine, a money making machine. So funding or not, I think that we should still be able to discuss growth, which makes it very, very important. And as Tanya has made mention, this is a collaboration between Wiz Digital Marketing and Dolphin Agency. And if there's one thing that I know that our resolution is, it is to ensure that every business entity or individual professionals that comes in contact with us does have a transformative approach to how they get their things done. And I think that in the end, what we are up for is just results. So for me, I really look forward to a very insightful session today, an opportunity to share a few of what I know and also listen to some of the things that I will be saying and what Tanya will be saying and refreshing my own mind also. Thank you very much, Tanya.
Thank you so much for that intro. So, if you don't know who I am, I'm Tanya. I'm a revenue operator and actually just a business growth architect. I'm really in love with businesses and helping businesses grow. And I have forged my career mostly in marketing and go to market. I started out as a copywriter, and I started out by getting clients on writing on Facebook, inside Facebook communities. So that's something that we've been helping businesses do since 2018. And my company has been in operation for around 4 years, and we have helped companies across the globe, from the US, Canada, Europe, as well as Australia. And also now we're also really working with African companies to bring their efforts to light and to ensure that we have a lot more success stories in the tech startups. This is one of the reasons why we partnered up with Dolphin, because me and Dolphin share similar values in terms of helping the tech ecosystem thrive, or not only on the African continent but also globally, because we believe that digital transformation is where wealth creation and the middle class will come from in the next coming years. So before we jump into it, I'm going to first throw a question at Tosin, because so that we can prep you guys so that you understand the importance of go-to-market and revenue operations. So, Tosin, can you maybe share with the audience like the importance of revenue operations and go-to-market strategy in businesses? Because sometimes people feel that, oh, I don't need a go-to-market strategy. I'm still just a early stage startup, and sometimes I feel I don't need a revenue operation system in place. So what is that? So could you maybe share that, because we have people that are listening to us that are not only tech startups but also SMEs, digital businesses that have grown their businesses tremendously often, but now they've created this business and they are stuck. This has been the case that we have observed in the past 2 3 years. You will notice a lot of businesses that bootstrapped stuck at 1 million USD to 3 million, and they don't seem to go past that. Or the smallest one is being stuck at $500,000 a year, and they can't seem to go past that.
Yeah, thank you very much, Tanya. I mean, I pride myself to be more of a storyteller, so I like to always make analogies with stories. And I mean, I think that to overemphasize the need and the importance of go-to-market strategy would be to underplay the necessity for results. So I like to liken it to a story of a renowned warrior who seeks to go to battle. But before I speak to that, there's a very, very, very popular quote that was credited to a wise man. The wise man I don't know, but it says that for anyone who doesn't know to what destination he saileth, no wind will be favorable. And I think that that's like a very resounding statement, because when you look at it too, I mean, in the analogy I was about to make, you have a warrior, a renowned warrior, a fierce warrior who seeks to go into battle. In the words of Sun Tzu, it says that when you know your enemy, and you know yourself, the battle is half won. And of course, in crafting your strategy of victory, you take into consideration the terrain, you take into consideration the strength of your army, you take into consideration the weapons that your army has access to, you take into consideration the strength of your opponent, the weapons they have access to, and all of that informs your overall strategy. And that's the same thing with go to market. I like to say that, hey, look, go to market is just intentional marketing. Go to market is what I like to call conscious marketing effort, data driven marketing effort. It is that strategy that says that, hey, look, we have about $100,000 for marketing efforts. We have a product that has these and these features. We have a product that is solving this exact problem, and now we need to go into the market. And in going into the market, hey, look, we need to take into consideration the product adoption cycle. We need to look out for, yeah, who are the innovators, who are the early adopters, who are the early majority, who are the late majority, who are the laggards, where are these persons congregated, maybe in a digital space, maybe in a physical space. What exactly are they trying to solve? How do they describe the problem we are trying to solve? How do we sell our solution to them? You look at all of those things, you gather well enough data, and you are very much aware, you have a very, very, very interesting understanding of your product, a very interesting understanding of your market, and then you map your way from your product to the heart of your users, taking into due consideration the resources you have access to. And I speak of resources across all ramifications of resources, human and otherwise. And so that's going to be like an overview description of what a go-to-market strategy should be, should take into consideration. And of course, when you look at it that way, you want to ask yourself, definitely, I mean, I need this. You don't want to create a product and just say, hey, look, let's just go out there and market. You just throw yourself in the heat of the battle, no plans, no user acquisition strategy, no KPIs. You do not know how you measure your growth. You're not even paying attention to, okay, look, while we're trying to gather new users, I mean, what are we paying attention to? What kind of churn rate would we consider LD? How do we create a feedback system in all of these to continue to reform our approach at gaining users? I think that much more later in the whole conversation, I'd like to speak to the whole idea of product marketers, or I'd like to say startups, paying more attention to user acquisition than user engagement, and it's quite very funny, right? And so in the aspect of revenue operations, I'll make bold to say that revenue operations is the best thing that has happened to the world of business, and even the world of startup as a whole, yeah, because it allows you to say that, hey, look, just like the I think it's a Toyota philosophy, or maybe the Japanese philosophy, that is absolutely against muda, and muda is waste. One of the things that I really cherish about Toyota, when I took my time to study how they get things done, especially the Toyota way of the Kaizen, that allows for continuous improvement, it makes a whole lot of sense. And when you look at it too, and you try to see how it absolutely relates to revenue operations says, hey, look, rather than have your sales team operate independent of your marketing team, rather than have your marketing team operate independent of your customer success team, rather than have your customer success team operate independent of the product development team, it says, hey, look, since all these guys are working together for just one person and for one purpose, which is the satisfaction and retention of the users, it says, so look, why not plug them all together in a wheel in such a way that this feeds that, and that keeps on going. Let your sales and marketing come together to agree on, hey, look, this is what an ideal customer is. This is what a qualified lead is. Hey, marketing, this is what we need you to give to us for us to, one, reduce waste, for us to reduce the time that the marketing guys would spend looking for leads, for us to increase conversion. He says, hey, look, the customer success, I mean, we are now in a world where it's not really about the quality of your product anymore. You can have exceptional product, But the world of software has been heavily commoditized to the point that, hey, look, no matter how outstanding your product is, someone else can whip up something in the twinkle of an eye that looks very, very similar to yours.
We will be back shortly with your episode. Right now, let's hear a quick word from today's episode sponsor.
Hello guys, my name is Treasure David and I want to officially invite you to the Africa SME Assembly holding on the 29th and 30th of March. You can't afford to miss such an insightful event. We're bringing together stakeholders from across Africa to converge. Stakeholders from the SME ecosystem, bringing together SMEs from across Africa, policymakers, investors, finance bodies, administrators, people from across Africa that facilitate the growth of small and medium-scale businesses in Africa. I want you to be there. Don't miss it for anything.
Are you tired of living paycheck to paycheck? Do you dream of financial freedom? Are you tired of the rat race and would like more time with your loved one and friends, making memories that will last you a lifetime? You may want to download Building a 20 Million Portfolio, How I Created Financial Freedom by Aurelian Amaka, a successful entrepreneur, founder of System IO, and author. So why not give it a try? Download Aurelian's book now and start building your own path to financial freedom by heading to tiny.cc/freedomb.
And so the most important thing now is customer satisfaction, customer success, customer management. That's what differentiates one business from the other. So revenue operations is saying, look, how do you plug your customer success guys in to say, hey, look, let's have this revolving wheel around the customer. Let's reduce the amount of money. Let's reduce expenses. Let's increase retention. Let's increase the productivity of the team as a whole, right? And there is indeed a whole lot to revenue operations that says that, look, rather than having your teams operating in silos, you plug them all into a wheel to get the job done. And I think that I can go on and on to speak about revenue operations, but I'd like to yield the mic to Tanya at this point. And I mean, let's see what still lies in this conversation. There could be a whole lot more to talk about.
Thank you so much, Susan, for such a descriptive answer, because I feel like sometimes this is necessary, because one thing I've noted over the years is that there is this slight confusion amongst founders and business owners that are not operators, that tend to confuse go-to-market to digital marketing. And so when they raise funding to take the product to market, what happens is that most of the time they will hire digital marketers to do a go-to-market strategy for the business. And what happens is we all see the fallout of it when companies close, because yes, digital marketing is good. I've been a digital marketer, but digital marketing its role is primarily promotion. It is not strategy. So when you focus on the tactical element of marketing, which is digital marketing, because it is part of go to market, you lose out on the opportunity to actually take the market, because most of the time when you are coming into the market, there are literally just three positions. You are either the incumbent, the one that has held the market share the longest and that the people know. You are either the challenger, the new kid in the block that people is starting to recognize, or you are the nobody that is coming to challenge both the challenger and the incumbent. So the biggest thing that you have as an advantage is agility and the gap that you have identified. Because most of the time, you are in luck because you probably have the incumbent that has been making mistakes. And if, let's say, you are challenging banks, because we've worked with fintechs most of the time, we all know that banks are slow to making changes in their product, in adapting to the market, which is the agility that you as a fintech have that they do not have. Yet, if you now, instead of being strategic about it, about crafting your narrative, ensuring that you have a leg to stand on, and ensuring that you can reverse engineer the conversations from the market so that you can use a mirror and use the market voice and kind of like use it to reflect it back at the mirror for them to feel like, oh, this company gets me. Because you rushed to the tactical, element of it, you lose out on that opportunity. So you blend into the market, don't make a splash. People don't recognize you. You are just another one. And that is what you lose out on. So there's a whole conversation on go-to-market. We're going to go into it another day. But we're going to start covering a bit of the questions that we received. And the first question was, what would it take for startups to break free from the cycle of constant fundraising and achieve growth without being overly dependent on external capital? So I'm going to try to answer it as best as I can, because that question, we could create a whole podcast on that. But sorry about that. Now, one of the things that I would first say is that businesses need to focus on making money early, especially startups, right? And even just not startups, because I've been in the digital business world, online business world, and where people are taught that no, build the audience first, and then once you build the audience, then eventually you can start selling. I am of the idea that you need to make money fast. So focus on revenue generation from the onset and build a business that has revenue in place first. So I call that having a profitability mindset. And you will achieve profitability early on. And once you have that profitability and you have the cash flow, you can invest in a lot of things. So what you see in the online space as well as the startup space is often that businesses in the startup space, they're like, okay, we are going to grow through funding, we're going to BizScale in order to get the market share, and then afterwards we will focus on profitability. Now, if you look at where we are at now with the state of IPOs, well, we can all agree that the idea of blitz scaling and focusing on profitability much later has created paper unicorn that are not profitable. And now that the cost of funding is a lot harder for people to raise capital, now they're all getting the side eye. Everybody is side eyeing them. They're saying, no, we wanna IPO. Everybody's giving them the side eye, like, what's up with that? Okay, who's gonna buy those shares? Not me. I'm throwing my money down there. That is because they never focused on profit first. And this is what all businesses need to focus on: making money. You are in the business of making money. So you need to ensure that the business can start sustaining itself without relying on funding. And even if you're an early stage startup, right? One of the things that when I meet founders and they're like, Tanya, I'm trying to raise funding, I'm trying to raise capital. Do you know any angel investor? Do you know any VCs? And I hear a lot of their business ideas, and I'm like, why don't you start by making money first? Why don't you start by making sales first? Because the easiest form of funding that you get is from your customers. If you can start selling the product first, you can start selling the service first. That is the easiest way. I think I've been privileged to work in the ecosystem, in the US ecosystem, where you see a lot of businesses start tech companies that grow into like your 9 figures, 8 figures valuation by bootstrapping, where they sold a service with a SaaS product, and then eventually they evolved into being a full SaaS product, and eventually now they're a company and they only raise capital to venture scale, and they're highly profitable. And even when it comes to negotiating terms for the funding, they are in a much better place to choose to walk away if the VCs do not want to play by their rules. Because when you are raising too early, you also stand a chance of diluting yourself too much. Yes, you hear a lot of stories about fundraising, but have you heard of the stories about the founders that raised, IPO'd, or exited and walked away with nothing? Those stories exist. I was privileged to speak to a dear friend. He initially built an ad tech, and it was valued at, I believe, 125 million back then. And when he sold it, he's building a portfolio of businesses And this time is bootstrapping. And one of the things that he said, because that conversation is actually recorded, and I will leave that in the show notes. He said the same thing. It's not what everybody believes it to be. So focusing on profitability first, focusing on making money first, trying to limiting the need to access funding early and adopting that part of the bootstrapping mentality. I'm not saying you're gonna bootstrap for a long time, but start small and then dream big. If you can start your business with as little as external fund as possible, do that. And run your startup on a budget. Like keep your eyes on the cash flow. And look at different ways of making money. Like look at partnership, licensing, like new products. How can you differentiate, bring revenue fast into your business so that you can create cash flow? This is something that a lot of people don't know. Let me tell you a story. Years ago when I started out online, I was white labeling. So and I was I was designing courses for people. So what that was they would pay me. I will create a course, they will slap their name on it, and they will sell it. So that's known as white labeling, private labeling. That model of doing business exists everywhere. In e-commerce, in SaaS, in manufacturing, they are white labels, like private labeling, white labeling exists. If you can start there to start generating cash flow, then eventually pull that away when you have enough cash flow. Do that. And ironically, Apple did that for a while before. What's his name? The former CEO, the one who died, I forgot the name. Steve Jobs came back and then pulled that from the market so that it could level up the value of Apple products and Apple software, and then create the brand that they have today. So get scrappy, start thinking outside the box. So I don't want to take up all the time on the mic. So Tosin, do you have anything to add on that?
Oh no, I mean perfectly. You nailed it on the head, because while you were speaking, I was just saying to myself that, hey, look, different strokes for different folks, right? But one thing that cannot be ruled out, except you're running a charity organization, if your business is meant to make money, I mean, there's no better time to start making that money than from day one. So when I hear a lot of people say, hey, look, I just want to get the users first, I'll charge down the line. I'm like, hey, look, you better really have something really, really, really valuable, something that cannot be replicated. Because I mean, if you're really looking to charge people down the line, what you're selling better be oxygen. It better be something that people get addicted to. And when you start charging them, even if you make unconditional demands, they have no choice but to pay you. Otherwise, you just gotta start charging from day one. So I think you're spot on. You're spot on with what you've said, and I really look forward to other beautiful questions that we have from our listeners.
So actually, now kind of standing on this platform, the next question that we have is, how can companies balance the need for external funding with a focus on profitability, and what mindset shift is required in this regard? So I'm going to put that to you.
Well, that's a very interesting question. How can companies balance the need for external funding? I like to really tell stories. There is a very popular adage in Nigeria from the Yoruba-speaking people of Nigeria. I'd say it in Yoruba how it's been said, and then I would transliterate it in English and then give the meaning. They say that Omotoba Shikpa Lobi Engbe. It means that it is only the young child, the baby that opens up its arms, that the parents will carry or lift off the ground. I think the one thing that we need to foremostly understand is that, look, of course, I mean, pretty much these days, venture capitalists pay for vision, users pay for value, right? But one thing that we need to really, really understand is that, hey, look, even the venture capitalist or the investor paying for your vision or investing in your vision, they're doing that because they absolutely want a return on their investment. They're not a board of charity givers that just wants to throw out money to every and anywhere. And so that takes us back to the question of, hey, look, how do you balance the need for external funding with, I mean, traditional growth. Um, when you really build, I think now this is my opinion, and I might be wrong, right? But when you really build, I think that one of the most important thing for builders is, look, you got to set KPIs, you got to set landmarks, you got to set goals. You got to be able to tell yourself that, hey, look, I think that if we are able to get about 100 users based on the resources that we have, and if we are able to get about maybe 30% retention rate from 100 users, and if we are able to get about maybe a DAU of like 20%, and if we're able to get an MAU of like maybe 45% or 50%, I think that we would have gotten a product market fit. I think that we would have gotten, a very wonderful feedback as regards what we want to solve. And when we now seek investors' funds, it's not going to be that, hey, we're still trying to get product market fit. We're still trying to understand what we're trying to do. It's going to be that, hey, look, we're trying to scale. We have this result already. Now, even you as the team do have clarity of understanding as regards what you're building or what you're solving. And when these funds come, you know that, hey, look, we need to allocate about 30% to customer success, this percent to this. You already have an understanding of what the modular system works like. And so, I mean, if you ask me, I think that that's like one very interesting way to balance your need for external funding. Because I mean, if you are able to show results, yeah, I'm not saying that showing results is like a silver bullet to raising funds. I'm saying that, but showing results is more like a catalyst to quickly raising funds and judiciously utilizing the funds. I mean, I really hope that that is a sufficient enough response, but I think, Tanya, you might have one or two other opinions as regards that.
No, I actually believe that that's a sufficient response, but I just want to add because I feel like the next question is actually can build on the topic because it's about how decision makers and founders in the startup landscape can what key insights can help them achieve long-term success amidst the current challenges. And for me, if there's four things, I think there's a lot of things that you can, there's quite a number of things you can focus on. But I think that anybody that talks to me, and Tosin will even attest to this, I will always say having a great team. First of all, focus on building a great team. Listen, this is probably the best investment you can make, and that's the one thing
Absolutely, absolutely.
that we can hit on. I think we were having a conversation this week with Tosin because we are currently in the process of hiring, and one thing we both agreed on is that it's not about the number of people we need to hire. It's about hiring the right team. Because if you hire the wrong people on your team and you have the wrong people on the bus, it doesn't matter how much of a great vision you have. You won't be able to push this bus forward. So your team is the backbone. You want to foster a culture where everyone can roll the punches and celebrate wins together. So if you have people on your team that just want to sit on the bus and don't want to do anything beyond what is the bare minimum, you want to get them off your team. Your team get them off your bus because when you're a startup or you're a growing SME, you do not need a diva on your team. You need people that will roll their sleeve and say, okay, I might be the product manager, but hey, there's a problem in this department. I need to jump in and help. Okay, there's a problem at operations. There's a problem at customer success. They help and they come back like, hey, Tanya, or hey, Tosin, here's what I'm thinking. We're doing this, and this. It's not going for everyone. I'm thinking that this should happen because they're also a product user. So you need people that are building a vision with you. So first thing for me, if you want to focus on sustainable growth and something in the long term that can survive this current landscape where it is hard, that's first of all the right team. The second thing for me, I would say, is putting your customers first. I know a lot of businesses use that as a slogan, but you really need to. One of the things that we've started doing at Wiz, I think since last year, is that because one of the things I learned was that people will come to us and we will take them on as clients. And when you ask them, because we had obviously you have those onboarding things, and maybe you like to send them a form to write down in detail, like what about the clients, what were the challenges, and stuff like that. You will not believe the number of companies that could not fill in those details for marketing. You will not believe. outside of the demographic of, okay, this is what they do for work or whatever. And this is B2B and B2C. So when I'm talking and I'm standing on my mic and talking about this, I am saying all this with my full chest because I have data to back it up. If you don't believe me, I'm gonna ask you, and if you can prove me wrong, I'm actually gonna buy you dinner. Can you, if I came into your business today, or Tosin and our team came into your business today, and we were like, give us access to data on your clients, on everything that they are, from psychographic to firmographic to behavior to everything, as well as how they behave when they are on your product and everything. Could you give it to us? 100% of the time. So far, I think I've only had 1 or 2 companies that had that data that we could leverage. Most of the time, we will get into the business and we were flying blind. And we will be like, I didn't sign up for this. You know, like how people talk about getting into a marriage and you're like, nah, this wasn't the man I married. This is not a woman I married. That was what we were finding ourselves in. So one of the things that we implemented was that it was not compulsory. If you wanted to become a client, that we needed to do a business audit because we wanted to be sure and to scope, because clients will come to us and they'll say, okay, we have a lead generation problem. And we'll diagnose that, we'll create a proposal, and we'll be like, cool, it's a lead generation problem. Maybe it's a messaging tweak here and there. When you get into the business, you realize, this is not, not a lead generation problem. This is a product design problem. This is a messaging problem. This is a lead generation problem. And on top of that, this is an operational problem. So you found yourself dealing with 4 problems whereas you thought it was just 1 problem. And this is the thing. Focus on your customers, because if you understand the customers, it frees up a lot of the marketing that you can do, and you do not have to do all the guessing and throwing spaghetti at the wall trying to figure out what are they gonna buy, because that's a problem with a lot of marketing. And this is why a lot of startups, even other small companies, are burning cash. They are burning their runway because they are throwing spaghetti at the wall. There is no precision in tactical execution. Now, my 3rd thing would be agility. You want to stay flexible in the time frame that we are in. So things are changing fast. So you need to be adaptable and agile. This is why I'll go back to your team. You need to have a team that is agile and adaptable, because the environment is changing fast. So if the problem here that I've often seen is people that are launching businesses that come from corporate, they have a problem with execution, because you want to get all the information. If you are going to survive in the tech startup environment, you need to be agile and get comfortable with making decisions with the minimum information that you have, because by the time you have the whole picture, it is too late. Somebody else has eaten your lunch. And of course, keep your operational costs low. So embrace remote work, and you actually get the best of the best team members, because also people are looking for remote work. There's not enough companies anymore adopting remote work. But if you're going to adopt remote work, this is something that we do with our clients, and Tosin will attest that we both this is why we've partnered together, so we can help clients do this, is instilling a system for employees so you have a higher ERP. And by the time the podcast comes out, I'll have an article on that on the Business Marketing Creed, a newsletter on LinkedIn. So if you don't follow me on LinkedIn, find me on LinkedIn, Tanya Kabuya, and I have a newsletter there. And I'll be speaking. There's a newsletter coming up on this on how to improving the profitability and the productivity of your employees. And this is something that we help you as clients when you speak with us or when we work together. So feel free to book a call on that. So you want to embrace remote work, but also ensure that it has you have a clear structure and KPIs attached to that, so you can have a highly productive team. So those are some of the things that I can think of on right now. I don't know if Tosin, you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, I mean, nice one, well said, Tanya. I mean, I just couldn't take my mind off the need to have an exceptional team. I mean, an exceptional team is highly, highly underrated. But when you have one, and when we speak of exceptional team, people are quickly, I mean, sucked into the delusion of saying, "Oh, an exceptional team is a team of so many hands." No, it's not a team of so many hands. It could just even be three persons who knows how to get the job done. I was seeing a video of Barack Obama, I think a month ago, and it was saying something on a particular, I think it was a seat talk, and it just sunk deep into me. He says, "Look, you should have a reputation for getting things done." As he said, you just be that person that has a reputation for getting things done. And those are the kind of persons that you need on your team, especially if you're building from ground up. And just like Tanya said, if you're coming into a market where, hey, look, you just cannot say, look, you want to be the best. You either have to set to be the second best or the third best, which in itself is not even a bad position. Yeah. That's aside, you just have to have an exceptional team. You have to have an exceptional team. And permit me to just draw inference from the ongoing African Cup of Nations. I am rooting for Nigeria all the way. And I can say that the Nigerian team this time around does have an exceptional team of exceptional players. There's a guy called Victor Osimhen. He doesn't just sit in front waiting for the ball to be passed to him, saying that, hey, look, I'm just a striker here. My responsibility is to score goals. He knows that his responsibility is to score goals, but overall, he knows that, hey, look, beyond the number of goals I can score, there's a superior responsibility, which is for the team to win. So if I find myself in any position where I have to prevent the opponent from scoring a goal, I do that. And if I find myself in a position where we can score a goal, but there's a better player to score that goal, I give him the football and let him score the goal. So I think that just to reemphasize, I mean, I could hammer on this all day. Exceptional individuals makes up an exceptional team.
And just to jump on this, it's funny that you're making this conversation around that, because I was thinking about the same thing. And first of all, we're recording this around the time the AFCON 2024 is happening. So for those who don't know, I'm originally from the DRC Congo, and we were one of the teams that were underrated. People were like, "You guys can only dance and music. You should leave soccer to other African nations." And all the teams that people thought were going to make it didn't, and we did. And also, just to jump on this point and how much soccer can teach us, and I'm actually thinking of writing a newsletter on that, is I'm looking at the Congolese team, right? The captain is a defender. But yesterday, the day we were recording this is after the game with Guinea. The air defender came all the way to score. So he didn't stay there and say that I'm a defense, I'm the captain, I don't have to do anything, I'm going to rely on everybody else to do it. He was the captain, he was the leader, but he was in the thick of things trying to score those goals. And he was working with his team and keeping the morale up. And if you look at soccer and you kind of look at how things are, the morale starts with the leader. So it starts with the coach, then the captain, and then the team. So it's the same thing with you when you are leading a company. You need to ensure that your team sees you as somebody that gets things done. This is really important. So we don't hammer on and yap on for a long time, because I know we almost here for an hour. So we're gonna try and keep it. I thought we were gonna cover a lot more questions, but I don't think we're going to be able to cover all these questions. So we might have to do a second session on this. But Tosin, what are some practical strategies that companies can implement to identify and eliminate operational bottlenecks and ensuring streamlined processes for efficient scaling? Can you touch base on this?
Thank you very much, Tanya. I mean, that is in itself a robust conversation. And if you ask me, we cannot even exhaust that conversation on this session. But yeah, quick one. One of the things that I think a team can do to improve, did you say improve efficiency?
So
Yeah, Tanya, did you say improve?
let me open this again. It's what practical strategies can companies implement to identify and eliminate operational bottlenecks so they can improve efficiency so they can scale.
Great. So I'm going to narrow that question down because when the questioner says companies are, we have to identify the fact that companies are diverse. The mode of operation in one company differs to another, especially as it is sector based. So, and of course, to improve operational efficiency, that's also very broad. But I'm going to narrow it down. Let me narrow it down to the concept of revenue operations in itself to improve revenue operational efficiency, right? One of the things that I think that a company can do is, first of all, to pay diligent attention to the cost of poor quality. Now, I see a lot of companies these days put a lot of money into marketing, into driving sales, but do not pay attention to how much they are losing as a result of the poor quality of their products. It could be a mistake from the inside team. It could be a mistake from the outside on the users end. But one thing is very important. I was sharing this with another founder, I think last week. I say, hey, look, you have to ensure that your quality assurance team, one, I'm not saying that put them in a state of, I mean, I'm not saying compel them to be in a state of El Dorado or achieve some sort of heavenly perfection, but they have to ensure that, hey, look, when it comes to poor quality has to be reduced to the barest minimum because it is very, very counterproductive when you spend a lot of money marketing your products and then you spend a lot of effort also demarketing it, and you now have to spend a lot of money for PR and all of that to save face. I mean, cost of poor quality is something that a lot of people are not paying attention to that I think people really, really need to pay attention to. And of course, to also improve operational efficiency, I'd say that, look, hey, adopt revenue operations in its whole entirety. Adopt revenue operations. Do not allow your teams operate in silos. Identify the teams that needs to work together. Create what I like to call a framework of co-execution, a joint execution framework that allows these various teams to come together and then be able to have a joint brainstorming session, collectively agree on what the goal, on what the defined goal is. I mean, for instance, let your sales team and your marketing team be in the same room. If you are operating a virtual workspace, let them be in the same channel. Let them be having the same conversation around what an ideal customer profile is. You don't send your marketing team out there on a wild goose chase and you say, yeah, just go make the noise. Bring them in, and then you put a lot of stress on the sales guys, and you have your sales guys spending a lot of time but converting very, 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 very little because the marketing team has gone out there to just bring in leads without considering whether or not they are qualified. You have to operate a precision based I mean, you have to have a precision-based mode of operation, right? You have to be very, very, very clearly defined, absolute clarity in what you are going after, absolute clarity in what your product is solving, and then once you have that, you are able to, I mean, go directly for those that you need because operations in itself is an interwoven thread, right? It is just for what it is. I like to call operations. Look, it is the functionality, or operations can just for me be defined as every arm of the organization working together in harmony. I think I'd like to rest my microphone here because there is indeed a robust conversation around this itself, as it can also be sector based.
You know, funny enough, it's actually what you're discussing is part of the is actually the next question because I believe it's something that I've hammered around for the past 2 years, and that this question was expected, and it is how do we create a unified go-to-market strategy that aligns sales, marketing, and customer success teams for a cohesive approach to customer acquisition and retention? And I love this question. And I'm going to try to go as deep as I can while keeping time in mind. And if you're still listening to us, thank you. We really appreciate that. And if you feel like you want to learn how you can implement this in your business, so remember, you can book an appointment with the team or myself or Tosin, and we'll be more than happy to jump on a call with you, because obviously we're keeping this as general as we can, but of course there are different strokes for different folks, because we work with companies in clean tech, we work with companies in SaaS, in fintech, in course creators, which are ATEX. So obviously the implementation would look slightly different for each person, and also we need to take account of your business. So if you want clarification, you want to know how you can implement that, feel free to book a consultation, and we will be more than happy to help you there. But when it comes to creating a unified go-to-market strategy that aligns these three elements of revenue operation, you want to make sure that you have a clear and measurable goals around customer acquisition and retention. So you need to be sure that, okay, this is how many, if you say that this year we are trying to acquire 100 companies, and thus I'm talking about mid-ticket in terms of maybe B2B. So you're not going to be hunting elephant, you're not going to be hunting mice. You are going to hunt antelope. So maybe your tickets are $10,000 to $30,000, and you're trying to land 100 clients. So you need to be sure, okay, if we're going to be hunting for 100 clients, how many must we land per month? So how long are the contracts? How are we going to make sure that they are happy and we're going to retain them? So you need to be sure around that. What will be your churn rate? What will be the point where you'll be like, this churn rate is alarming, we need to look at that. So for certain businesses, it might be 5%, it might be 3%. So you need to understand that. So what is your churn rate? If you walked into 2024 with 100 clients from 2023, and now you only have 20 clients or 30 clients left from 2023, that's alarming. That should tell you something else about what's happening in the business around your revenue operations and your operation at large. So you need to look at these things. For example, you need to look at, okay, so where is my account manager's times going? So are they taking care of my clients? So there's a lot of things around revenue operation that happen there when it comes to creating your goals and your objective. Then you want to be sure that you have clear buyer personas. And when I'm talking about clear buyer persona, I'm not talking about firmography, just, okay, this is a company making $1 million a year, and they have 10 employees and they are in the sector. No, I'm really I want you to really understand them. What are the actions? What are the beliefs of the leaders around the company? What are the beliefs that they need to change? What are the actions, the pains that they are feeling in the business? What are the behaviors? What are the behaviors that are creating the problems? Because you want to have that deep understanding of the clients and what's happening in their mind, in their body, when they're getting home. You want to understand when this leader is getting home, what are they thinking about? And all that will form part of your integrated communication, which is your messaging, because you want to have unified messaging. So consistent messaging comes from your buyer persona and you understanding your persona. So when you have that understanding, your marketing materials, your sales pitches, your customer interaction, they will all have a unified message which will reinforce your brand identity and value proposition to the market. This is how you become either a challenger brand or you become a category of one, because your messaging is reflective of what's happening in the market and what you believe needs to be changed. And the market has been too silent. They know that needs to be changed. They will be like, oh my gosh, this person is in my head. This business is in my head. They have the solution, because I've been thinking about it and I've been looking for the solution. Then you want to ensure that marketing, sales, and customer success work together and collaborate. So what happens most of the time, and I've spoken about this before, is that marketing has their own tools. Sales has got their own tools with their own data, and customer success has their own tools. So they are silos, and they're not working together. So you want to ensure that your data rooms are synced so that there's seamless exchange of insight and information between all three. For example, customer success might discover that people buy a product because maybe they like how we onboard them. But sales doesn't know that, marketing doesn't know that. So if customer success and everybody is in the same data room, they can take that insight, implement that in the marketing message, and sales now has an easier time closing deals. So that's the important, like, of having shared data rooms and communication, just like uh, Dawson said earlier, and data analytics. And I love how Dawson put it, like having precise execution. And obviously, the next thing that I can think of, it's such an extensive subject, we can't cover it here because we're being conscious of time. You want to establish clear protocols for handing off leads from marketing to sales. You want to define the criteria when a lead is sales ready to ensure a smooth transition. I think for me, I'm in marketing now, but I got my start in sales. So I can attest to how frustrating it is to go for a sales demo and the lead doesn't know that I'm there to sell to them. They believe it's something else. And this is one of the problems I have with the MQL, marketing qualified leads, and the whole system there. You want to ensure that marketing has done enough of a job to make the sales handoff the quality of the lead should be like, I'm ready to make a decision. I think that's something that I'm gonna land my plane here because we don't have a lot of time and we need to start ending this conversation soon. I know that we're having a lot of fun here, but Tosin, do you have anything to add on the subject?
I think it's been a very wonderful conversation, and I think that just as you rightly identified, it's good that this is a business series, which leaves every conversation open-ended. So I think that I really look forward to the next conversation where we would have a more robust discourse around specific areas of insight. But the questions have been very interesting. And it goes to say that quite a number of persons are beginning to pick interest. I'd presume that these questions are coming from mostly CMOs and CEOs, because it looks more like the kind of question that a CEO or CMO would want to ask. And that's very interesting, to see that quite a number of persons are beginning to pay attention to these very, very important areas of business. Man, I mean, this is going to be an inexhaustible topic, and trust me, I look forward to the very next conversation.
Me too, and I love that people are paying attention to this, and businesses. I think the climate itself that we are operating in the ecosystem forces leaders to start asking these questions. And I believe that this is actually good for the ecosystem because it will allow us to create much more robust companies. And so it's something that a lot of the SMEs have understood early on. And I believe there are some lessons to learn from that. But on this note, we're going to end it here, guys. So if you have any questions, I will leave the details to Tosin's LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn as well, and Tosin as well. So feel free to reach out to us on them. And there will also be a link to book a business audit with us. And we're trying to really make this as interactive, and we're going to add a little bit of gamification there. So we are going creating a quiz around this topic, so we can better be able to help you identify where your shortfalls are and what is happening in your business. And we want to make sure that when you get on that call, it is valuable to you and that it's the best time that you spend with us. Because one thing we are strong advocate of is that time is your most expensive currency. You can make money back, but you can't get the time back. So when you get on those calls, the consultant, whether it's me or whether it is Tosin or any of our consultants, we go through a series of questions with you. They will help you identify what are the issues, what could be causing the problem. And with that, if there is alignment, they will tell you, like, hey, this is how we could work together. And if it isn't, they will give you still a plan of action for you to possibly implement and see some changes. So I really invite you to take us up on that offer because we really trying to serve you and we are on a strong mission to make more businesses profitable, sustainable, and a lot more money. So on this note, we're going to leave it here. Feel free to follow me on social media. Feel free to follow us on social media. And we are going to share a lot more on these topics. So if you have any questions that you want us to cover, some of these events will be live. So look out for those invitations to connect with us on these events because we want to be able to even coach you and consult you live on those calls. So feel free to come through on those and we will be excited to have you. On this note, Tosin, do you have any last words before we land our plane?
For every listener out there, I just want you to know that, man, there's nothing more that'll gladden our app, that'll gladden Tanya's app, outside of that, your business is making progress and you are making real success as a result of listening to this podcast and webinar series. It is intentionally designed to help your businesses grow, to help your career grow, and to help you grow. And at whatever time you're listening to this, I mean, you heard it first, that I'm saying that, look, Nigeria is going to win the AFCON. For those people that don't understand what AFCON is, it is our own. It is our
Now
own.
Congo is winning. Congo is winning. At the final is Congo versus
it is our
Nigeria.
own World Cup for the African continent. I don't mind what Tanya is saying. Tanya actually meant to say that Congo is coming second place.
No, Congo is winning. We are taking this cup. We are taking this cup.
Okay. You see, I'm going to tell Tanya what our super striker said. He said, "Look, this is not a game that is to be argued on timelines or to be argued on Insta Live. It's to be settled on the pitch on the pitch of play." So you heard it from me first. Quote me anywhere. Nigeria's lifted this trophy already. Thank you very much, Tanya, for conceding second place. We appreciate you and the entirety of the people in the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Okay, listen here. Listen. We were the underdog, people underestimated us, yeah? And like we Congolese say, justice de Dieu, you're not. If you're Congolese, you know what I mean. Justice de Dieu, you're not. The Egyptians that we saw yesterday, like the Bible says, we shall see them no more. So if it's with us, who can be against us? If Nigeria is going to win this, we are going to give them the fight of their life because you know something that I know is that those two people are the most stable on the continent. So we are ready. We are ready. And the leopards are going to eat that eagle.
I mean, I'm laughing here because we're going to come back to this conversation. And very soon, I think before our next podcast, this game should have been played. Or maybe we'll still have to discuss this, but I mean, you would remember what I told you.
We shall see. Either way, may the best one win. I've been supporting the Super Eagles since anyway, but if we are facing the Super Eagles on the final, you know where my allegiance lie, DRC, Bokelengi. So on this note, we will leave you with this. Hope you have a lot of fun coming up and that you're also enjoying whatever sport that you are going through. I don't know how Africans are going to survive after the AFCON ends because it's been so much fun. But on this note, see you on the next episode and I hope you catch up with us. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.